Okay, welcome to the joint public meeting of the Glendale City Council and the Glendale Redevelopment Agency for June 14, 2011. Can we have a roll call for the City Council, please?
Council members Manukian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Taro.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Mayor Friedman.
Here.
Roll call for the redevelopment agency, please.
Agency members Friedman.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chair Manukian.
Here.
Can we hear your report, please?
Agenda for June 14, 2011 joint public meeting of the Glendale City Council and the Redevelopment Agency was posted on Thursday, June 9, 2011 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Before you today is a public hearing, Director of Community Development regarding Second Amendment to Statutory Development Agreement and Participation Agreement with DreamWorks Animation Campus. 1A is an ordinance for introduction approving the Second Amendment, and 1B is an agency resolution approving the Second Amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Lansapane.
Ms. Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. Chairman, members of the agency. On June 26, 1996, the City and the Redevelopment Agency entered into a
Excuse me one moment. I need to open the public hearing. Okay. Sorry, I caught you mid-sentence.
Okay.
Please continue.
In 1996, the City and the Redevelopment Agency entered into a development agreement with DreamWorks Animation Studio. It was a 15-year agreement to build approximately 495,000 square feet of office and creative space, parking facilities, and other ancillary uses. Early on in Phase 1, they built out over 331,000 in their original campus. That was completed in the late 90s. Phase 2 was begun and completed in March of 2010. That added another 128,700 square feet. Of that, it leaves about 35,000, just under 35,000 square feet still entitled. DreamWorks has asked for an extension, a 5-year extension of this development agreement to look at their needs and finish the build-out of the initial 495,000 feet, which is a net remaining of about 35,000. It gives them time to plan and build this. We believe that that is a good thing. Will bring more jobs, those high-paying jobs to entertainment-type jobs to the campus. We'll also give them time to look at their broader needs in the future and perhaps how they might reorganize the campus for additional development. The agreement that we're asking you to extend would only be for that additional 35,000 square feet. Should DreamWorks want to build out their campus any larger than that, we would negotiate another development agreement, and there would probably be another environmental review. The development agreement itself, this extension request, was heard by the Planning Commission on June 1st. They are recommending your approval, as is staff. We're offering it for the extension. Staff that worked on the agreement is here, as well as DreamWorks representatives, should you have any questions. Oh, one last thing. Just housekeeping. There's a typo in the agency resolution on page 6, paragraph 2. It should be the Second Amendment. And if we could just, if you're inclined to introduce that resolution, that we would ask for that modification.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I'm curious, when you drive by the campus, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of land available. What is the amount of acreage?
To the rear. I'll ask DreamWorks to respond. There is some land in the back. I guess it would be the northwest corner. If San Fernando Road is going north-south, in the northwest corner by the parking garage. There is some open land there. There's some surface parking along the back, that western edge. But how they would configure that, that's one of the reasons they would like the extension, just to be able to plan that out.
Okay, I'd like to hear from the...
And we do have a card from the DreamWorks representative, so when they come up, we can ask them to address that. Any other questions for Mr. Lansapane?
No.
Okay, if there are no other questions for Mr. Lansapane, I'm going to go to the public. I have 2 cards. My first card is Jeffrey Haber, followed by Margaret Hammond.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Haber from Paul Hastings, representing DreamWorks Animation. Thanks very much for this opportunity to be back in front of you. I want to commend particularly staff for all of their hard work on getting us to this point, and wanted to just reiterate a few of the things that Mr. Lanzafame said, and then obviously address some of your issues and answer any questions that you may have. I also have we have a number of folks from DreamWorks here, as well as the architect from Gensler, who's done the whole campus from the beginning, so we can address any more specific questions that you may have. But let me just start initially with the background here. In 1995, DreamWorks was formed and started looking for a campus for its animation headquarters. At that time, as many of you know, the redevelopment area of this part of town really was in dire need of redevelopment, and none of it had happened at that point. The city only a couple of years earlier had adopted a redevelopment plan for this area that called for, among other things, entertainment and studio uses. So DreamWorks found this site. It was a 13-acre site that at that time was empty, and proposed building its campus there. At the time, we thought that the campus for the initial 15-year phase would be up to 495,000 square feet. As Mr. Lanzafame mentioned, we built 330,000 in the first phase in the late 90s, and then another 129,000 or so in 2008, 2009. So we have remaining of that initially approved, initially entitled, and initially reviewed from an environmental perspective of that initial 495,000 square feet. We have about 34,500 left. As Councilman Quintero mentioned, we built out a number of sites on the campus, but if I can direct your attention over to this is the original site plan from the environmental impact report that talked about various areas on the campus that might be used for development. Much of the initial phase of development occurred in this area, and then we built in 2008 another building over here. There remains this area here, which is the area that was originally contemplated as a future site development and is still being contemplated as a future site development, and where we would possibly put the remaining 35,000 square feet. The reason why I say possibly is that we don't know exactly where we're going to do that yet, and that's why we're asking for the extension. The development agreement would expire otherwise later, actually this month, and so we'd like the additional 5 years, not to build any more than what we already have approved, but just to build what the city approved originally. And of course, if any of you have been out in this area over the last 15 years, you can see, and you were there prior to the last 15 years, you can see what a dramatic difference has occurred over there between DreamWorks and Disney and the other businesses that have come into this area. This is really a testament to the success of redevelopment law and redevelopment in the city of Glendale. So I'm available for any questions or further questions that you may have.
Are all of the issues surrounding the River Walk Park taken care of once and for all?
Yes. Yes, there's been an agreement with DreamWorks. In fact, one of the reasons we located here was that we liked the idea of being by the river, and the original development agreement has some discussion of the river, and there have now been agreements with the city, and we're looking forward to doing whatever we can to get that river walk up and running. We look forward to that.
And so this proposed future development isn't going to impact any extension or anything at all, right?
No.
Yeah, I'll ask Mr. Lanzafame, actually.
Go ahead.
No, it won't. In fact, we have worked with the county. May I borrow your pointer? Please. Worked with the county to now have access to Flower Street back in here. So the river walk comes along here, and there's access which actually allows this to be taken back by DreamWorks. So those are all in place. In fact, in talking to the facilities folks, our parks people have been in touch with them and working cooperatively for the development of that Riverwalk Park.
Any other questions? Thank you. My next card is Margaret Hammond.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, and members of the council, staff, and audience. My name is Margaret Hammond. My question, or the problem that I was bringing, has been more or less answered, but I want to be positive that there is not going to be any more holdup on that Riverwalk. Because last time, when it was started, there was a problem with DreamWorks that we couldn't get an easement or get permission or whatever it was we needed. there was a blockage there. And I can remember Mr. Weaver saying, well, why wasn't it brought up before we went ahead and gave them the second approval for whatever at the time for them to go ahead with what they wanted to do. I think it's great. DreamWorks, Disney, they took a blighted area and they made it a really beautiful area. I, go through there, drive through. But my dream and hope, as was the pool, which Mr. Najarian worked real hard on to get that pool, is that Riverwalk. And I think a lot of other people, not just the people that live there, but a lot of people in Glendale would find it an advantage to be able to use that Riverwalk for their families and to bicycle, do whatever is necessary, and connect to all of Los Angeles, hopefully down to Long Beach. Eventually, I think there's talk of that. I keep seeing it in the LA Times that there is going to be a connection all the way, and I think it's fabulous. And if you see Huell Hauser's program on it, it's absolutely fantastic for us to use that rather than just have blight and garbage and trash and whatever. And people, volunteers, I know will come forward and have come forward to do cleanup on it and to enjoy that area. So I just want to, that's one of the reasons I'm here, is to find out that we, and make sure that we are going to have the use of that Riverwalk area, and there's not going to be any blockage or fences or stopping along the way. From top to bottom, we're going to see a wonderful park. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments?
Comment. I'm not prejudiced because my daughter used to work at DreamWorks, but I remember walking in the back there where they have the room to expand, Jeffrey Kotzenberg back in '97, where he talked about the possible addition of area at the back corner there, northwest corner. So I guess they're still talking about doing it. It'll be the final addition they can put on the campus. I saw it where the Riverwalk is going to tie in there. Saying they're just ready to open the gate, so I think everything will be okay.
There's no further discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Then I'll take
Close the
I'm sorry, I'll close the public hearing.
I'll be glad to introduce the ordinance at 1A.
Comment, excuse me, Madam Chair, members of the agency, members of the City Council, comment on the agency resolution, and that is just to be absolutely sure, since the resolution will be acted on today, the ordinance will be introduced and adopted next week, that we add a third item to the end of the resolution, and that would be this, that the resolution shall become effective on the date of the adoption of the City Council's ordinance number blank. We have yet to determine the number, authorizing execution of the Second Amendment to the Statutory Development Agreement, Participation Agreement, just to make it absolutely sure that the ordinance authorizing the city's approval will follow, and that those together will authorize execution of the Second Amendment to the Statutory Development Agreement.
I'll move 1B with that addition.
And the other change would be in 2 for the second.
And the other change.
That's correct. Thank you.
Second that.
Motion and second roll call for the agency resolution as amended.
Agency members: Friedman,
Yes.
Jarian,
Yes.
Caro,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Chairman Nukian.
Yes.
Adjourn for council?
Second,
Council is adjourned.
move to join for the agency.
Adjourned for the agency.